Hello friends, welcome back to Heartscapes, where we are practicing the system of Reiki and growing gardens at the intersection of self-reflection, spiritual practice, and social action. My name is Michaela. Welcome back to this space. Today's video is a practice video, and this one will offer a combined set of two practices that are foundational to the system of Reiki from the perspective of its Japanese origins. I'm making this video in conjunction with a series of videos that is coming out now that explores the connection between the system of Reiki, the esoteric roots of Reiki, and the most pressing challenges that we tend to deal with on a day-to-day basis in our everyday lives. In other words, looking at the ways in which we can integrate our practice of the system of Reiki into the day-to-day moments of our lives, the joys and challenges that we face, the mundanities, the extremities of our life, and to allow our practice of Reiki or of similar spiritual practices to be integrated into our life rather than being held as a separate aspect of our life, something that we escape to or that we use to pull ourselves out of that day-to-day experience. I made a welcoming video for this series that explains a little bit more about what all of that means and where I'm coming from. I'll link that video down below. But this particular video is meant to accompany this series so that with each of the concepts that we look at, which are going to be tied to the 5 precepts of the system of Reiki, with each of those concepts, you can come back to this practice video and apply this practice to the concept that you're working on for the day. And of course, you can also use this practice outside of the context of those other videos, just offering this as a foundational practice that can be of great benefit in our day-to-day life, particularly when we work with it regularly. So let's get started. So this practice is going to be a combination of 2 foundational practices. The first is called Joshin Kokyu Ho, a method to focus the mind. And this is the foundational breathing, meditation, visualization that forms the basis of all other practices within the system of Reiki from its Japanese perspectives. We're going to work with that practice for a little while. It's going to invite us to bring our attention inward and down into our center, work with a particular visualization that will allow us to come home to our true self, where we can find the most authentic answers, the most authentic guidance for navigating our day-to-day life. And then from there, we're going to transition into a contemplation practice. We're going to be working with the 5 precepts of the system of Reiki, each one of them connected to the others, but each one also available to contemplate on its own. And this contemplation practice is designed to help us to notice the ways in which these precepts show up in our daily life, and to help us use them as a lens, as a filter through which we can look at a challenge we're experiencing, a decision we need to make, a excitement that we're having, just anything that's coming up in our daily life, from the teeny tiny, the most mundane, to the biggest, most pressing challenges, excitements, decisions that we have to make. And so in the process of this practice, I'll recite those 5 precepts to you, and I'll invite you to choose one of them that feels the most relevant in this moment. Now, that can be because you're working with a particular precept based on one of the other videos in this series. For example, just for today, I worry not will be tied with our next video on anxiety and stress in day-to-day life. Or you can just allow yourself to choose any of the precepts in the moment, and that might be because one of them stands out to you in particular. Perhaps one of them feels particularly difficult. You might feel an aversion to one or the other, or perhaps one feels particularly lovely and one that you would really just like to spend a little bit of time with. So whatever strategy that you use to choose that precept, we'll work with it a little bit in this contemplation practice. Both of these practices can be done separately, they can be done together, and you can stretch the timing out of them for quite a bit, work with them as long as you like on a given day. But I do invite you to work with these practices on a regular basis so that you can integrate them, you can become more, they can become more automatic. You can begin to draw on them in the midst of daily life. For example, it's become a habit now that if something stressful comes up, I automatically drop into that Joshin Kokyu Ho breathing. I might automatically bring up some of the precepts and allow myself to just quickly check in with myself in terms of my relationship with that precept relative to the challenge that I'm dealing with. So these practices can become automatic. They can become integrated into our day-to-day when we work with them on a regular basis. Sound good? All right, let's get into it. So all of our practices, when we're working with the system of Reiki, begin with settling into the 3 postures that we want to bring together for practice. The first is the posture of our body. We want to allow our body to feel well supported in whatever support that we're on. So whether that's a chair, whether you're standing, lying down, seated on the ground, we want to take a moment to adjust the body so that you feel supported, that you feel easeful, that you feel settled into the natural structure of your body, allowing the strength of your back, the straightness of your spine, the alignment of all the components of your spine, your head, your hips, to be in a gentle alignment with each other so that the natural structure of your body can hold you firm, meaning that your muscles can begin to relax. We don't want to hold ourselves tense in this practice. We don't need to be rigid, but we also don't want to be contracted. We don't want to be slumped forward. We don't want to constrict our breath. So we want to find that place of ease, that physical posture that allows us to feel supported by both the seat below us, the ground below that, and by the natural structure of our body. And where we also feel easeful. We also are able to relax as much as we can in this moment. In particular, allowing the muscles of the belly to relax. Allowing the strength of our body, the structure of our body to hold us so that the muscles of our belly, of our chest, of our shoulders, of our jaw can be soft. So let's just take a couple of moments, a couple of breaths to invite relaxation in these places and make any small adjustments that are needed in order to align our body in these ways. Noticing the way that in this easeful position, your belly naturally expands with the breath. You begin to take up more space as you inhale. Experience more spaciousness inside of you and around you. And from this place of supported, easeful spaciousness, we can bring our breath into posture for practice, our second posture. And the posture of our breath is one of easily moving in and out of the body. From that softness, relaxation in the belly, the breath can naturally move further down, lower in the body, expanding the belly, expanding the boundaries of our body, without efforting, without straining to force the breath in a way that it doesn't want to go. And so we want to just gently invite the breath lower in the body. And sometimes that can take time. Sometimes it can take a few breaths, or perhaps even a few, cycles of practice to unlearn the habit that we often have of holding the front muscles of our body tight, particularly the belly. Many of us subconsciously hold the muscles of the belly tight and boundaried, constricted for a variety of reasons. And so it can take a little bit of invitation, a little bit of gentleness, and a little bit of time for our body to trust that it can let go of those boundaries. It can let the body expand evenly with the breath, so that the posture of the breath can be easeful, And it can move in and down and low in the body. That the breath can be slow. That it can be deep. Just noticing where you are in this moment. And it can be helpful to place a hand at the low belly, just below the belly button. The warmth and the pressure of the hand can help invite the breath lower, can help invite the belly to relax. And we can feel that expansion of the belly as we breathe. And from the postures of the body and the breath, we can bring our mind into posture for practice. Because these practices are designed to help us focus our mind, draw it back from all of the places of distraction that we're often pulled, to integrate our body, our breath, and our mind into a full experience. A full experience of the three mysteries of how we navigate the world. In Japanese, Sanmitsu, the three mysteries of the body, the breath, and the mind. And so the posture of the mind begins with resting attention on the sensation of the breath, following the breath in and down. Resting our attention on the movement of the breath in from the outside and down into the low belly. And we can use that movement of the breath, the relaxation of the belly, the posture of our body, to gently, one breath at a time, call our attention back in from the many distractions of the day and focus our attention at the low belly. So for the next few rounds of breath, I'm going to invite you to practice this. Practice bringing your attention about 2 inches below the belly button and deep into the center of the body. Drawing our attention on the breath in and down, focusing our mind at the center of our body, 2 inches below the belly button, deep into the center of the body. This physiological and energetic center of the body is known in Japan as the hara. It's the first point in the map of our energetic body and the connection between our body and the world around us. And within the system of Reiki, this is perceived as the home of our true and authentic self. Our rooted and grounded place, connected to earth, connected to our body. The home of our spark of life. And so as you continue to breathe in this way, drawing your attention in and down into the fertile, beautiful darkness of the center of your body, gently training our mind to focus here. I invite you to begin to sense or imagine that here at the center of your being, the center of your low belly, you find a spark of life. It might show up to you in different ways, perhaps as an image of a bright spark, perhaps a sensation, a feeling of heat or of movement. Perhaps an image comes to you spontaneously, or some other sense. But in whatever way it shows itself to you, begin to sense or imagine this spark of life burning brightly here in your hara, your low belly. Let's take a few breaths, getting a sense of this spark. And as you continue to breathe in and down, resting your attention on this spark of life, shining brightly in the center of your body, the center of your being. This spark of the universal life, all of life living itself as you in this moment. This spark representing your place in the web of life, both uniquely you, your sovereign self, and also intricately connected with the web of life, one and the same, the one in the many, and all of the many forms of life in you. And as we focus our attention here, we notice that as we inhale, this spark begins to grow brighter. It begins to expand in all directions, shining out from our center like a sun, expanding in all directions, growing to fill us, to surround us. With each breath, we inhale our attention down to this spark. It grows brighter, it expands. As we exhale, it continues to expand until it fills us and surrounds us, expanding outward into the web of life, into the web of connection. Let's take a few moments to settle into this pattern, this visualization, this sensation of drawing our attention into this spark, this pinprick of light, concentrating our attention at our center, and then allowing that concentration to expand, to fill us, to surround us. Noticing the sensation of spaciousness, expansiveness as we do this. That feeling of being both concentrated and focused, and at the same time, expansive and spacious. Let's breathe with this pattern for a few rounds of breath together. to breathe into our center, noticing the sensation of groundedness, of rootedness that comes when we bring our attention here. And then as our spark of life expands in all directions, the sense of spaciousness, the sense of becoming bigger, of expanding the boundaries that sometimes feel limiting. And feeling the sense of connection with the life around us as we expand outward from our center, overlapping, connecting with the life around us. Now from here, you can stay in this breath pattern for as long as you like. If at times you're experiencing some sensation of discomfort, some emotional distress, some physical pain, then here would be a place to notice the sensation of that discomfort, that pain, whether it's physical, emotional, mental. And imagine drawing that sensation, that pain, in and down into our center, into the spark of light, and putting more space around it as that light expands in all directions. Loosening the constriction that we often have around discomfort and pain, and allowing this visualization of expansion to soften, to help us feel more resourced inside of that pain, to help us release our attachment to that pain, to help us relax around it. And so at this time, you can pause this video and stay in this practice, working with any of those things as long as you like. And then if and when you are ready to move into working with the precepts, we're going to shift into that practice after 5 more breaths. The 5 precepts of the system of Reiki form an invitation to us, an invitation to practice, describing a certain way of being that when we embody this way of being in our life, we experience peace, resilience, resourcefulness, compassion, ultimately enlightenment. So the precepts describe an invitation into how to orient towards our life, and they also describe the outcomes that are possible when we practice the system of Reiki diligently. And so this contemplation practice is a way for us to gently integrate, embody these precepts, form a relationship with them that's free of judgment. It is based on compassionate observation of our own mental, emotional state and of our behavior, of our relationships with ourselves and with others. And so I offer this to you today for your contemplation. As I share these 5 precepts, allow yourself to choose one to work with today. Let it stand out to you for any reason, either because you consciously choose it or because it just grabs you for one reason or another. And then we will work with that one precept for the rest of this practice. And these precepts are: just for today, I worry not. Just for today, I anger not. Just for today, I am grateful. Just for today, I am true to my way and my being. And I am diligent in this. And just for today, I am compassionate with myself and all other beings. I'm going to repeat them one more time, allowing yourself to choose one. Just for today, I anger not. Just for today, I worry not. Just for today, I am grateful. Just for today, I am true to my way and my being, and I'm diligent in this. Just for today, I'm compassionate with myself and all other beings. So allow your chosen precept to arise in your mind, repeating the words of it to yourself. Using this precept as a mantra as you breathe. As you breathe in, just for today. As you breathe out, reciting the rest of the precept. And as you continue to recite this precept as a mantra, begin to notice what thoughts arise for you. Begin to notice what emotions or feelings arise. Are there memories that are coming to you associated with this precept today? Are there sensations in your body, responses in your body, as you focus your attention on this precept? Let's take a few moments continuing to breathe this precept as a mantra as you inhale, just for today, as you exhale, reciting the rest of the precept. Let's sit with this mantra for a few rounds of breath, noticing the thoughts, memories, emotions, sensations that are associated today with this precept in your mind. What is your body, heart, and mind revealing to you as you contemplate this precept? How do you feel being with this precept today? And given how you feel with this precept today, what do you need? What do you need today, in this moment, in response? And finally, what might it mean to you today to come into right relationship with this precept? What might it mean for you today to come into right relationship with this precept? Just allowing yourself to be with that question, noticing whatever comes up for you, even if it doesn't make any sense. Just allow yourself to be with the question. What does it mean for you today to come into right relationship with this precept? And now I invite you to gather up what you have noticed here. To release your attention on the precept. To gently bring your attention back to the sensation of your breath, moving in and down. And let's spend 3 breaths just resting in our hara, resting in the low belly. Resting our attention here. And you can stay here as long as you like. But when you feel ready, give yourself a gesture of completion, a gesture of gratitude before coming back into this space. Welcome back. So I hope that practice was nourishing for you. I hope that it was insightful, perhaps relaxing. I invite you to work with this practice, either one of the two or the combination of them, whenever you like. Return to them. And I'd love to hear how it went for you. If there was anything in particular that came up, something that surprised you, something that nourished you, questions that arose, challenges. I invite you to share those either in the comments below or to reach out to me privately if you'd like to have more of a conversation. I would be happy to do so. I encourage you to do a little bit of journaling after this practice. Write down what you noticed, what sensations you had, particularly in association with the precept that you worked with. And if there was any particular action, any particular gesture that came to you when you contemplated what would it mean to come into right relationship with this precept, I invite you to write that down and to take a moment today to make that gesture, to take that action, even if you can only do so on a very small scale. And to offer an example of what I mean by that, as I was going through this practice with you today, the precept that came up that chose me to be worked with was, just for today, I am grateful. What I noticed when I tuned in to the feelings and thoughts that came up as I contemplated, just for today, I am grateful, is I noticed a lot of sadness that I'm carrying. I noticed the way that sadness can get in the way, can interfere with the sensation of gratitude. And at the same time, the tenderness that sadness requires of me. And so what came to me when I thought, what do I need to do to get into right relationship with this precept? It was something around acknowledging the sadness and then bringing in gratitude as a medicine, as a balm for that sadness. And so the action that I feel reflects that is that later today I will do a little bit of journaling about the sadness, about the sensation. And then I'll work with some gratitude. I'll journal about some things that I'm feeling genuine gratitude for in this time. And then I'll take a moment to notice the feelings, the way that it impacts what I'm thinking and feeling, to work with gratitude in that way. So just a simple action, a little response that I can take in response to what I noticed in this contemplation. And this is one of the most important ways that we can build integration in these practices, that we can de-silo them from our life. We can bring them as an integrated part into our life. When we pay attention to what we notice when we're in practice, and then we make a gesture in direction of what we noticed, we take some sort of action in our life, which can be an internal action, can be working with ourselves internally, it can be an external action, it can be an action having to do with other people or with the world around us, with nature, whatever shows up for us. That the key is to take some small action, make a gesture in the direction of what we noticed. Because what this does is it signals to our body, our mind, our heart, our spirit that we're paying attention, that the practice actually matters to us, and that it impacts us in terms of the choices that we make. And every time we make that small gesture in the direction of something that came up for us inside of our practice, we strengthen and reinforce that practice in our life. It's one of the most powerful things we can do to embody a spiritual practice, is to be in conversation with it, be in dialogue with it, respond to it, allow it to respond inside of us. So friends, I hope that was helpful for you. Share what you learned, share what you noticed, share what questions come up, and I look forward to continuing the deepening of these practices in our life with you, with myself, and with our community. So until the next time we're together, may you be deeply provisioned on whatever step of the journey you are on today. I love you so much. Thanks for being with me. Bye-bye.